Hello, you're watching TelecomTV. My name is Martyn Warwick. We are here in London's Dockland in East London at the automotiveIT International Congress at a place called the Crystal, as I said, in Docklands. And I'm talking with Dr. Thomas Müller, who is the Vice President of Electrical and Electronic Systems at Volvo Cars. An important job, Thomas. Thanks for talking to us. Let's start with the big trends, the major trends that you see in the automotive industry right now.
Well, I see three trends at the moment. It is safe, green and connected, if you want to put a point. On the safe side, we see everything which is active safety, a lot of IT and software supported systems which are on the dawn of getting into the cars. On the green side, of course, we see everything which is CO2 emission reductions, and amongst them, of course, there's the hybrid cars, there's electric vehicles, which is an important technology which is getting more and more into the car business. And then on the connected side, you see everything which is connecting the car to the outer world. Both, you could say, bringing the car into the internet, so to speak, in terms of remotely controlling the car, but also bringing the internet into the car. That means information and data streaming into the car to make use while driving or to consume just data.
We've heard a lot about the Internet of Things and machine-to-machine communication in recent years. We've heard quite a lot about the connected car and, of course, an enormous amount about big data. What's happening with Volvo and with, of course, all other car manufacturers is all these considerations now have to be taken into account on top of the engineering and the electrical systems which make the thing work in the first place. How difficult is that proving? Is it technologically very difficult to do? And how easily do the drivers, the owners of these vehicles, pick up the new technology?
I think the drivers, if we start with the consumers, they are picking up the new technology fairly easy. Why is it so? Well, because we see CE industry moving into this field since quite some years, and the number of smartphones which is owned, especially in the premium segment, which is our customers, by the consumers, this is quite a big number. So I would say we have not met so many customers who are not familiar with smartphones and connected technology in the CE industry. Now, once it comes to the cars and then challenge for the automotive maker, this is basically the question of how can you bring two worlds together. The car, classical, traditional automotive industry coming from a very much mechanical world, has moved in the last, you could say, 15 to 20 years into more and more electrics and electronics, which was the first challenge which we had. But this was electrics, electronics and software in the car. Still on a particular box, still in an environment which is pretty close to managed within the product itself. Now, once we get the car connected, we have to deal with having data exchange to the outer world. We talk about different technologies, we talk about different life cycles, we talk about a different thinking and also, of course, a different possibility of getting new features done. Just as an example, if you look into the software which you do in the cars, in most of our units, this is highly embedded systems. So you go to a first tier, you get the software together with your box according to specification. It is automotive proven and it's according to the automotive development cycle and also to the life cycle. If you look into IT, this is completely different. We have hardware and software pretty much separated from each other. You can exchange the hardware without noticing the customer. You can swap applications from one data center to the other. You can very quickly and swiftly bring in patches, bug fixes, new applications and so on. And there are two worlds coming together which need to learn from each other.
Interesting point this, the development cycles of an automotive vehicle are long. It takes a long time to design, costs a lot to tool up and everything else. Traditionally, the hardware in IT and in comms takes a shorter time but has a specific cycle of its own. And of course, software these days can be done on an hour-by-hour, day-by-day basis. How do you get the disparate life cycles to chime together so the whole thing works?
Well, you need to put a lot of you need to put a lot of thoughts into this in terms of getting the interfaces right, because this is not about torturing the one category to adopt the life cycles of the others, but it's about coexistence. So what we are spending a lot of thoughts about is like how in our architecture, starting in the car, but then also going into the architecture which is outside of the car, how we make interfaces robust enough so that you can deal with a car who has a life cycle of 10 or 15 years in the market, and still getting and best and freshest applications, for instance, for the customer over this life cycle.
Thank you. Complex job. So how then is your company innovating to take advantage of the trends we've been discussing? We know how you're going to meet the demands of the drive tomorrow in some ways. What about, how does it work in terms of the sort of retail operation, how you get the stuff out there? Is there a different sales approach now to what there was before? Is there more emphasis on the lifestyle within a vehicle that overlaps with other things? Or is it still seen to be, you know, something completely different, freedom of the open road?
Well, I would say once it comes to marketing, once it comes to explaining to the customer these features, I think the industry as such is facing a challenge because this environment is so complex and it's so much detail behind. Take alone our Volvo on-call connected service. If you look into what different features you can get while operating a smartphone, calling a call center, bringing in new applications into the car and so on, there's a big variety of things. And I think it is in the interest, and it's also needed from the automotive industry, to really explain them crisp and to explain them very transparently and very logically to the customers. So what we are doing in this field is, of course, running traders on the internet, investing into our sales force, getting demonstrators installed at our dealerships and so on. And I think the internet plays an important role because we have nowadays, if you would Google for Volvo on call or for our connected cars, you can see a lot of trailers where things are explained. You can log into our website. We get frequently asked questionnaires for our customers, and this is actually logical because we live in a world of smart consumers and smart customers which are browsing the internet anyway before they do a purchase. So there are two worlds nicely coming together, and yes, of course, you need to explain that much differently than if you would like to sell a new alloy wheel, which you just show and say, well, do you like the design, yes or no? Well, you like it, you buy it.
Yeah. Okay, not like that anymore. A final question then, Thomas. How important, let's look at Volvo cars now. How important is IT and communications technology in enabling your organisation to operate more efficiently and more smartly?
I think it's very important because the experience of the customer is brought into a broader context, you could say. It is not only about owning the car, sitting in the car, driving a car. It is about preparation of your journey. It's about what you do after your journey. It's about getting services around your car. And if you look into what we have already now in the market, in which we are exploring even more in the future, we have the possibility, for instance, to plan your trip up front, send a navigation information to your system. Once you come to the car is already knowing where you would like to go. You can precondition your car by switching on the heater or the air conditioning system. After the trip, you can download your driving journal. So if you were on a business trip, it's very simple. You get your trip statistics in your email system, and off you can go with your with your travel expenses. So I think there's a couple of things where we try to expand the experience of the car to the time before and after the journey. If you then take that further into the context of service of the car, we have introduced in May this year what we call connected service booking. So once the car needs a maintenance, it will upfront tell the dealership, which is then your preferred dealer, which you can choose as a Volvo customer, that this car is up for service. Will ask the dealer in the dealer management system for booking a timing for you, and then the dealer can propose in your car screen a convenient time. You can call them up, you can just acknowledge the timing by a push of a button, and this is something which I think is very important, especially in premium automotive industry, that you that you broaden the experience of the customer, that you broaden the convenience for the customer. Because there's one thing which modern people don't have at all, and this is time. So if you can make best use of their time, kind of organize the things around them, I think this is a great opportunity for automotive industry.
Well, I'm a long-term Volvo driver, and I remember very well, you used to get the little red light coming up saying you need to service it. Those days are finished.
Yeah, you could say that it's sort of finished, because I mean the red light will still come up.
Yeah.
But
a lot more is happening.
Then there's a lot of things happening. So this information goes to the dealer. It goes well up front. It's not like the red light is coming and you need a service now. No, of course. We will prevent you. Then we tell you, well, in 1,000 kilometers or so, you need your maintenance. And this is kind of taken care of.
We're living in interesting times. Yeah. Thomas Müller, Dr. Thomas Müller, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thanks.